All right.
You're muted.
Who moved us backstage? You're fired.
So much is happening.
We absolutely never go backstage. Like, who did that?
It might have been me. It might have been me. It might have been
Oh,
me.
Lord.
I was doing a lot. My bad. Sorry, guys. Happy
No,
Wednesday. Listen.
I never connected us to Instagram until a second ago. So
It's mental health month, okay? Pardon my mental health.
it's definitely one of them days because I was like, oh, wait, we're not on Instagram. Hello, Jims and Gents. Good evening, good people. We hope that y'all are great. We're all over the place. Can you bear with us tonight? You're going to have to, actually. So, anyway, welcome to another episode of Hustle and Shine. I am your co host, Natima Cherie Queen Pen.
It's your girl, Mel V, the MV Pen.
And of course, it's your girl, One True Phoenix here. Welcome to the Hustle and Shine podcast.
Welcome.
It's a jam-packed show. We ain't got time for all of the shenanigans. Y'all know what y'all need to do. It's time to like, comment, share, subscribe, start tagging.
Do it fast.
Stuff.
Do it quick.
Do it right now. Do it. Why y'all keep telling y'all the same thing over and over every week like you don't even know what it is? Like, stop playing with us. Because
shame on you if you're not already liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel.
Right.
Shame.
Exactly. How dare you with the shenanigans? Okay, so look, real quick, y'all. I got to take a picture of this color of this hex code because that is for my show on Sunday, and I need to change it back to tonight's show. So y'all go ahead and introduce our special guest who's going to be rocking with us for a little bit at the first half of the show while I fix this error. Is one of them days. All right, so somebody go ahead and bring out our guest for me, please.
So our special guest today is one of our lovely Diamond sisters, also one of my favorite people. One of my
Amen.
Favorites. She is all of the things: singer, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and now first-time author.
She's published author.
Then our sister La V. Let's bring her out.
Welcome. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Snap.
Welcome.
Turn your camera this way.
You want me to turn my camera?
Yeah, so that you could fit in the box all the way.
I'm gonna fit in the box.
Boom.
I'm gonna fit in.
Oh my goodness.
Now you in the box.
I'm in the box. That's what's up. Thank you. Hi, y'all.
Welcome.
This is cool.
We are so glad that you're here. Have you ever been on the Hustle and Shine podcast?
I haven't. No.
Yes, you have.
I have?
Yeah, you was a guest on the show before you were a Diamond.
Really?
Yep.
Why don't I remember that? I feel like everything's new. You made.
Come on, give him some of the voice. Give him some of the voice.
Everything
Look,
is
I'm
new.
going to say, if we have never had La Vie on, that is a really raggedy shame. Like, we are going to do better. Like, how dare we not have you on? Well, listen, for those of you who are like, hold up, this is not the show that y'all said. This is, y'all said publicly crashing out. Is she crashing out? Absolutely not. She's glowing up. But here's the thing. We did not get to sit with her and talk with her the day of our virtual book release. And that just is not good enough for us. Okay. She has contributed to this book. She actually is the anchor in this book, a very powerful close. And so we thought it would not be a bad idea to bring her right here to the Hustle and Shine podcast so that she has a few minutes to tell you a little bit more about herself, her chapter, her inspiration, her journey, what she hopes you take from the book, all the things. So we're going to give her about a good 15, 20 minutes. Y'all all right with that? Good. I'm glad. Y'all are okay with it. All right. So La Vie, go ahead and take a few minutes and introduce yourself and let everyone know a little bit about your chapter.
Okay. So, hey, what's good, everybody? It's your girl, La Vie. And my chapter is The Audacity to Love Again. So, in my life journey, I have been married 3 times and divorced 3 times. And if I can just say it, on my way to the fourth one, to the fourth marriage, because um, I'm just trusting the journey, and I'm not looking at it as a situation where um I've made several mistakes, but I've learned
Mhm.
several lessons, and I've grown through these things, through these experiences. And this is what I want people to understand, is that the fact that you have loved and lost doesn't mean that you are damaged goods.
Come
What
on.
it means is that you have experienced love. That's what it means. There's so many people who have not. And
Mhm.
that's unfortunate. And the fact that you have experienced love and you know what it is to feel a heartbreak, love again, because God will
Mhm.
continue to heal you and you're going to be all right.
Come
So
on.
that's what I want people to leave with. Love again. Do it
Mhm.
again. Go out on a date again. Ask them what their favorite color is again. Do it again. Do it again. So
Oh my
what my
gosh.
chapter is about.
That's so dope. I love that. I think you touch on so many points in terms of our fear. And when I speak about our, I'm speaking of women. We're not one of those group of women that be telling men how they feel. We talking about how we feel. We often are afraid to do it
Yeah.
again. We are
Yeah.
afraid of the failure of it. We're afraid of the shame of it. We're afraid of the judgment of
Yeah.
it. And your chapter literally kind of redirects that perspective away from the pain and it back into the promise of love. So I absolutely love that. So what was it like kind of bearing your soul and laying out your own life for others to because we're gonna have judgment, right? People are gonna be like, 3 times she's been married. We're gonna get that, right?
Yes.
But what was that like for you deciding, and I'm still going to tell this story. I'm still going to share this.
Because I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be afraid anymore. And it was me literally kicking down the door of fear and
Mm.
walking into hope and walking into um, the unexpected. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm not a
Yeah.
person who likes surprises, but I definitely was like, I don't know what God is going to do, but I feel like it's going to be real good. And
Mhm.
so more than my fear, I trust God.
That's
And
it.
so that's what I'm learning throughout this journey, to just trust God. Even when, even in the current situation, we have disagreements and I'm like, "Eh, should I run? Is he gonna run? Like, is this gonna be another failed situation?" And
Right.
then God just reassures me by even through him by saying, "Hey, we are in this for the long haul, okay? We just had a
Yeah.
disagreement. It's all right. We gonna be all right. It's just a
Yeah.
disagreement." So God is just showing me through different situations, and just that it's okay. It's okay to disagree. It's all right
Yeah.
to not see eye to eye all the time. That doesn't mean that you have a bad relationship. It just means that you're two separate people that are joining together and learning each other. So it's okay.
That part.
And that's what
That
I'm
part.
learning. Yeah.
I
love
So
that.
what was the journey like for you as you were writing, as you decided this is going to be the story that I share,
Yeah.
and you began to kind of unearth your experiences in the marriages, the relationships, what led to the relationship, what led to the divorce, all of that. How were you feeling internally? Like how was that kind of affecting you?
I think I had several emotions. One of them being uh, like I feel like I was
Mm,
mourning, right? But not necessarily in a bad way, kind of like a letting go, letting go what I thought about marriage. Because of course, afterwards I was like, I ain't never doing that again, right? But I was learning to just, even through talking about it or writing
mm,
about it,
mm.
um, letting it go, letting go of the first one, and whatever that was that we experienced,
Yeah.
and also just capturing things. So for example, something that he said to me from the first marriage was, I don't think that you were attentive enough to me,
Mm,
because you were focused on the children, you were focused on music. It was children, music, children, music. And I was like, yes, I was I? So now I'm like, looking looking back at myself, I was like, yeah, I think I was a little single focused or double, because I
mm.
was just focused. Music was so important and is so important to me, but now my children are older, so now they're kind of off doing their own thing, and I'm like, oh, so now I'm paying attention, and I didn't realize until like now, or like as I'm going through that, I wasn't really paying attention. So it's all a learning process. And so I'm letting go and holding on to the nuggets, to the good things, that the things that I can put in my future endeavors.
I
So
know that's right. That
yeah.
is so good. Ladies, do y'all have any questions? I mean, it's 4 of us today, so we can share the questions, the platform questions.
Question?
Have a question per se. I just want to declare the boldness of realizing that marriage, even as a woman of God, and respecting the sanctity of marriage, and realizing the lesson in, you know what, I wasn't supposed to marry this person, and God had let me know, but I had did what I wanted to do, and then learning from that lesson, like,
Wow.
okay, I think it's bold in that you can say, yeah, this ain't for me. I was wrong. That's a very powerful thing. And so I just wanted to give you some kudos and some credit for that, because I think sometimes when we are we're women of God, we're like, oh nope, they said, well, God joined together, no man should turn asunder. But it's like, did God really join this together, or did man join this together?
Bop, 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 bop. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just early on in the episode.
For real. Because we be all in our feelings. All in our feelings, man. And we need to think logically about these things. We need to be very, very clear when we're making these decisions. Yes, he is the one that the man is the one that finds us, but we do have like we have a say in it too.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We do have a say in it, and it's not just go with the flow for realsies. So, yeah, I agree with her.
So, Mel, did you have a question before I jump back in?
Oh
I
snap!
don't have a question because I got to live this in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I lived this
Help.
whole process in real life, from first word to last word, and all of the hills and valleys that
Yeah.
came along with it. So I don't really have a question. I'm excited. I'm like a proud sister, wife, friend. Like
I love it.
I know I was here when this journey started. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like the fear that she had about telling it, and how
Yeah.
it was going to be viewed, and how people were going to receive it, and what people were going to think of her, and all of that. And then to see her recovery from the divorce to finding love again, and being open, and just watching her wings fly and be free and happy, you know what I'm saying, and settling in herself. It's awesome to see. And I mean, it's something that I think, especially for us, like founding members of the Diamonds, who have been here since like book 1 or book 2, we get to see that for so many of the women,
and over again.
see them like go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And so for this being super personal, because that's my boo. So
Yeah.
to see it, and just to see, what I'm saying, and knowing that there are so many women that have been in that space, that are scared to open their. I mean, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I'm divorced too. Tima, you've been divorced. You know what I'm saying? We've, so many of us have been divorced and been scared to be like, do I want to do it again?
Yeah.
For one, because you don't want to look like you just happened. But then two, you know what I'm saying? You scared to get your heart broken again. People always say, I'm like, our hearts are like glass. Some of them are like, fine china glass. Some of them are tempered glass. Some of them are bulletproof glass.
Hello.
But you know what I'm saying? It's shatterable.
Yeah.
And as you know, with anything, once you break it, you put it back together. It's never
the same.
It's never the same.
Right.
So you don't want to do it again. So just to be vulnerable enough to say, I'm going to risk it.
Yeah.
Even though I know that it could shatter again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take it. So I don't have a question. I'm just excited.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here listening.
It don't sound like she's about to divulge secrets and stuff from the planning rooms, talking about the beauty of scars.
Right. Well, I just
say?
have 2 more questions, and then
Okay.
I promise we'll let you get your evening back. But now that you've gone through this experience and you mentioned the fear or the uncertainty of the unknown, of the uncharted territory in your life, of revealing, your story to people, now being on the other side, looking at the publication, holding the evidence of your power, holding, you know what I mean? Like holding your audacity.
Oof.
What would you tell someone who's in the seat you were in a year ago? And they don't have to be a diamond writer. It could be any woman who's contemplating, should I share my story? Will my story have impact? Will anyone care? Will anyone listen? What would you tell her?
I would tell her that it is this is, I feel like this is me taking back my power. It's me taking back my strength.
I
Um,
ain't shouting tonight.
yeah, like I just
Come
feel like
on.
when when I'm walking and I'm like in the house and then I see where, I have my books set up, what I'm saying? They set up. So, when I have them and I walk by and I just kind of like, sometimes I just walk by and just like, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of make me want to stand up straighter. You know what I mean? It make me want to puff up my chest a little bit because it's like
Okay.
the thing that the enemy thought that he was going to use to shut me up and to shut me down, my boy, my boy. I'm telling, I'm talking about it and I'm telling nations about it. And
Come.
you can't stop nothing.
Mm-mm.
You can't
Mm-mm.
stop nothing that God already ordained from the beginning of time. So stop playing with me, please and thanks.
See, I didn't know. Nope. I'm gonna
No,
sit right still. I
like you
almost jumped up.
can't. I'm unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Nope.
unstoppable because I got God on my side, but not only
Mhm.
because I got God on my side, but because I have a whole slew of diamond riders sisters that are behind me, that are lifting me up, that are supporting me. And even if I feel a little bit away on a day,
Mhm.
I know that
Mhm.
there's a whole bunch of women that I could call anyone, any day
Mhm.
that I can
Mhm.
call. And I have love and support around me. So this is my power. This is
Yeah.
my power. And I encourage any woman, any man out there, just in case you were having thoughts as a guy, like,
Mhm.
no, love again,
Yeah.
love again. And I promise you, you're gonna find something so beautiful in everything. We have to find God in everything. And
Yeah.
he's in it.
Mhm.
Honey, listen, I'm trying to keep still. So what's next for you? What is next for you? We know that you have a thriving singing career, writing career. You do it all. But what is next for you and how can people connect with you?
So what's next for me is um we're gonna have this event for the book, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what's next for me because I want to stop spreading myself thin. And so I
Mm,
want to make sure that I'm focusing in on, like, kind of
mm,
focusing in a little bit. I don't want to be too all over the place. So I want to push the book. That's what's next for
mm.
me. I'm pushing the book. We're going to have something where all the diamond writers are going to be a part of it. But we're going to continue to push this book. Audacity. That's what's next.
Yes.
That's all I want to focus on right
Yes.
now.
I love it. And don't you have
What
a
I want.
show coming up though?
I stay having shows coming up, but I just feel like I'm like everything's kind of running into each other. Everybody's calling me now that I'm going to Texas. They're like, "Oh, you're leaving. You want to sing? You want to do this? Let's do one last show. Let's do one last show." So it's been kind of hectic. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to just keep my focus all while being in school. So I'm focused. I'm focused.
You got this. So how can people connect with you? Drop all your handles, all your socials, all your platforms.
Listen, if you go to lavimusic.com, LAVIE-music.com, you'll find everything,
Everything there.
everything you
Yeah.
need.
Yes.
Lavimusic.com.
Well, we are so proud of you. I mean,
Thank
obviously,
you.
we
I'm
know
grateful.
we know you are Mel's boo thing. And I remember the first time I met you, I said, "Get her here, please."
I'm with
The
it.
very first, I said,
Give
"We
me a
need
little
her
time.
here." And here you are. And we're so glad that you're here.
Yeah.
We're so glad that we got to be a part of your journey and the unfolding and the becoming of your story and all the amazing things that you wrote. For those of you who have not yet gotten your copy of Audacity, please run to diamondwriters.com, run to amazon.com, run to transparentgeminc.com and get your copy of Audacity. As I mentioned, Lavie's chapter is the anchor of this book. She closes out a powerful story that solidifies the invitation to lead an audacious life. So y'all make sure that y'all go and get that. Make sure you go follow her, connect with her on all of her handles. You go to lavie-music.com. Did I get that right? All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, beautiful, for being with us tonight and opening this episode for us. So much love to you. Cannot wait to see you in September at the Pressure Weekend, a series of events y'all don't want to miss. But until then, you know what to do. Continue to hustle and shine.
Boom.
See you, Lovey. Dope. I'm so glad we were able to have her on and give her flowers. I will be speaking about her again on Sunday because she inspired something very near and dear to my heart, which you'll learn about on Sunday. So make sure that you tune in Sunday at 6 p.m. for Behind the Pages. All right. We got a great show for y'all tonight. We hope that you don't mind going over time with us tonight because we are clearly going to go over. We are three talkers and passionate women, especially about mental health awareness. And so, as you can see, we are wearing our green for the month of May. And so, Tiff, do you want to kick off our first subtopic? Introduce that to the folks. Y'all see my bright Audacity nails? I got an Audacity event tomorrow, so it's intentional. It's intentional.
Well, so if you watch you followed us and you clicked on the description of the episode, we said it out there. We watched it from Britney Spears taking, what was it? I think an umbrella to a windshield and shaving off her head. We've seen Tyrese crying on Instagram. We've seen so many public crash out moments of celebrities, and we've made fun of them. We've criticized and critiqued them, and we talk about them over coffee. But tonight we're going to be discussing what leads up to the crash out. What led up to this person crashing out? What responsibility do we as a society hold in contributing to that crash out? And what is it that we can do to prevent it or to support and help the person who is crashing out? So I think our first topic tonight is the breakup. The build up. Okay, yes, the build up. I was a person first. So before any celebrity became a celebrity, they were a human being. They with hopes, dreams, and aspirations of exploring their talent and using their God-given gift to share with the world. And in that, many of them get used, they get manipulated, they get chewed up, they get spit out. So before we idolize them, they were a person.
Yep.
When was the last time we thought of Beyonce as a person? Like these people, some of these stars reach such stratospheres of fame that we forget that they're human beings, that they have bodily functions just like us, that they have bad days, they have good days, they have families, they have homes, multiple homes that they're paid for and are paying for, and they don't get to enjoy. So let's talk about the person behind the crash out.
Yeah. I definitely want to jump in terms of like the status of celebrity, especially a specific status of celebrity. We as the public, because their lives are available for public consumption, we assume that we can say whatever we want to them or about them, or in conversation concerning them, forgetting that they are in fact human. And I think that we don't realize the impact that it has on their psyche and their mental wellness. I was watching an interview. I think it was Marlon Wayans, and he, because I had watched Damon's first and I was watching Marlon, but Marlon was talking about how imperative it was for his brothers to teach him not to allow the opinions of others to be how he views himself. And now think about this for celebrities who started before the dot-com blow up, before social media, before all of that, right? It was a lot harder to get to them with your opinions. The only people that could get to them were the tabloids, you know what I'm saying? Some talk shows, things like that. But you had to really be strategic to get to them. Now it is at our fingertips, right? We get to be little text thugs and we get to be little cyber bullies to celebrities that we'll never meet a day in our lives, forgetting that they are in fact human beings and they started in the same status as us, which is just human. Meaning they have feelings, they have emotions, they have fears, they have insecurities, they have doubts, all of those things. And so when we see, as Tiffany alluded to, their public crash out, even going back to when Michael Jackson was dangling his kids off the balcony and everyone made fun of him, calling him Wacko Jacko. And I'm like, no, that is a mental break, that he's having an episode. Something's not right with him mentally. And so instead of us protecting us, we join those who speak negatively, who throw stones, who make judgments, who make snap judgments, because we're going off of a 30-second bite on the internet and creating an entire story behind it in our heads and in our conversations. And so that is what we're hoping this show is going to bring awareness, not just mental health protection and mental health empathy and compassion for celebrities, but for one another. People post stuff on their prom and y'all are making fun of some little girl because she don't look the way the other young girl. And it's just, we have to do better, but it starts with our own mental health. And so I hope that we address that tonight. Not the mental health of the celebrities we're talking about, but what's your mental health state? Because if you don't see anything wrong with the way you go in on people you have never met and likely will never meet, if you don't think that there's something wrong with that mentally, we may need to get you some time on somebody's couch. So that's all I wanted to say as we open up the show. Go ahead, Mel. I saw you unmute with something to share.
I mean, there's so many. Like, this is so funny that this topic is so, I guess, near and dear to me in a sense, because I work in the entertainment industry, and so being in that and seeing how even before you get to that status of a Beyonce and a Michael Jackson, to that, even local stardom, you know what I'm saying? I get to see how it affects the artists that I deal with. And so it's sad because, as you were saying earlier about us forgetting that they were people first, it's so interesting to watch us do things, as you were saying earlier, or approach situations with these people in a way that you would not approach somebody from your local neighborhood. Right. Because you would question before you did this, am I gonna get punched in my face? Am I gonna get snapped? You would question it, but for some reason, when it comes to celebrities, we feel like we have a right to approach them as if they were not humans first.
Right.
And then we poke and we push. And you mentioned the situation with Michael Jackson with him dangling the baby over, and I remember that, and I'm like, I remember for like months before that, it was constant. Show us the baby. Show us the baby. Show us the baby. Why are you hiding the baby? We want to see the baby. We want to see. Like, y'all were like, and it's like, let this man, because at the time when Blanket he wasn't, I don't even know if he was one yet. He was like a baby, an infant when that happened. Let this man enjoy being a dad for a minute. When you have your friends that have babies, you can't just run up in their house. They be like, my baby ain't got no shots yet. Give me a minute. You just can't run up in my house. Like, so you have to respect that. You don't get access to these people's kids the day they come out the womb. Right. But for some reason, we feel like because this was Michael Jackson's child, that he owed us to expose his child to the world 3 weeks after he came out. Why? And so y'all keep pushing this man, and he's trying to deal with a new baby and whatever else. So y'all pushed him to the brink with, and then now when he respond and gave y'all what y'all wanted, because y'all wanted to see the baby, now let's criticize. Right. That. And so it's like, stop. We put people, and I say we because I'm talking about collective, but we put them in a position that they didn't specifically ask for. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Most of these people, and I think I mentioned this when we were discussing the show about it, and I'm like, there are people out here that intentionally seek celebrity and to be in the spotlight and to be noticed and to be recognized. Then there are some people who become this because of them living in their gift.
Yeah.
I am an excellent singer. Singing is my passion. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to become a singer. And as a result of me becoming a singer, now I'm famous.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't I'm going, I'm going to be famous so that I can sing. It was like, this is my gift. It's I'm a great actor or actress, and I want to pursue the gift that God gave me. I want to pursue my love, and as a result of that, or as a benefit of me being very good at my gift, it has now given me a platform to reach the world. But that doesn't mean now that you now get to have me 24/7. Right. I remember years ago there was an interview with Allen Iverson, and he did something I don't remember, and there was an interview, and one of the reporters were like something to effect of, how do you feel doing this and you're supposed to be a role model to these kids? And I'll never forget his response. He was like, I'm not their role model. He was like, I play basketball. He was like, I'm not their role model. He was like, their parents should be their role model.
Yeah.
He was like, the people in their family should be their role model. He was like, I'm not out here trying to be your child's role model. I'm out here trying to make a living and earn a check and be a human being. He was like, you made me your child's role model. And then want to ostracize me for not living up to the expectation that you set on me. I didn't sign up for that.
Right.
Mel, how about setting up expectations that even the people who set up the expectations couldn't live up to? How dare you put something upon me that you couldn't carry yourself? And I think that was my takeaway from his response.
Yeah. And we do that we make them, as you said, we strip them of their humanity. And then we do that, and then we get upset or we get outraged, or we're just so taken aback when they exhibit any form of humanity, when they exhibit any form of normality.
Yeah.
Who put them on this pedestal? Because guess what? If somebody said it was like the greatest thing, if you cut them, do they not bleed just like you? Is their life at some point, are they not going to pass away just like you?
Right.
Are they immune to illness and sickness and anything? Like, how many celebrities do we know that have died for the most random things? They are not immune to tragedy. They are not immune to life.
Right.
But we make them superhuman. We make them superheroes. And what we need to realize is that Marvel and DC is not real.
Yeah.
So let's stop trying to make human beings into Marvel and DC comics and then be mad at them when they fall short of an expectation they never asked you for in the first place.
Exactly.
I'm done.
Tiffany, I know you have some stats for us because we like to give people information, not just opinions and views. So if you could share some stats, and then I did have a comment I wanted to make about celebrities and having to live out their life crisis publicly, never having the privacy to process. So, but I would love for you to share some stats and we can talk a little bit about those.
Okay. So today, with it being Mental Health Awareness Month and the industry that it is that I work in, I attended a webinar today on stress, anxiety, and how to have a healthy. We're moving away from the term work-life balance and moving into work-life harmony. Stat number 1, and these are just for regular people. So when I give you these stats, I want you to then amplify it. Based on celebrity. 84% of U.S. workers experience at least one mental health challenge a year. That's the regular people. 52% report feeling burnt out at work. 33% notice that this burnout, 33% notice their productivity is impacted by their mental health. And 74% of employees report negative mental health at work. Now, amplify that by celebrity. by fame, by paparazzi, by
Come on.
fans, by all the things there.
Mm-hmm.
So if we looked at the entertainment industry as a workplace, 84% of celebrities, of public figures will have at least one mental health challenge a year.
That's
You want them to get on stage and sing and dance and act and walk the red carpet and look at your camera and smile and sign your autograph and all these things that 84% of them are in the middle of a mental health episode.
Yep. And I think we forget the normal life milestones and the normal life circumstances and tragedies and inconvenience that we deal with, how we crash out off the smallest things without the pressure of public opinion, without the pressure of executives still expecting you to show up and deliver a record or show up and deliver an album. Sorry, I'm old school. We call them records. Or show up and, star in a film because they have millions to make off of you, despite the fact that you are dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with. I remember watching a live. Tiana Taylor was on live, just kind of going back and forth, defending and rebuting some of the things that her ex-husband had said about her. And I said, everyone's here in the comments from a standpoint of entertainment. This is her real life. This is not a script. This is not a reality show. This is her real life. And she's had no privacy to hurt. She's had no room to process without having to juggle the opinions of her ex-husband, the opinions of his fans, the opinions of her fans, figuring out why you're not going back at him the way he coming at you. And that becomes a lot of pressure. And then they have these public crash outs. They have these public breakdowns because they go back to the very platforms where they receive love from their fan base. They go back for comfort, but instead they're going to get judgment. They're going to get ridiculed. They're going to get shamed. They're going to get laughter. They're going to be the butt of someone's joke. A comedian's going to. It is really unfortunate. And I know a lot of people are like, well, they chose that life, and that's it's the platform that they're on, but they don't choose to not be able to keep it together for themselves, for their children, for their families. And that's where I think we can do better. And we're obviously going to talk about that soon at the end of the show. We're going to always provide a prescription and a cure. Well, at least our cure. We can't cure everything, but we do have an opinion on that. The last thing I want to say before I pass it back over to one of the two of you, I was watching, my friend has sent me a clip of Tyler Perry. And y'all know I respect the man, but I'm not a fan. Okay. But I do respect him. And he was having a conversation with Kenya Barris. I don't know if y'all know who that is, the creator of Black AF and Blackish and some other things. But he had quoted a Nina Simone quote, and he said, "You will use up everything you got trying to give everyone what they want." And he was pretty much like talking to him about them being in the same space and producing content and movies and television that is acceptable. But what I saw beyond that was a mental health moment. Do not empty yourself out for everybody else, because you will have nothing left and you will lose it all. And I think when we think of celebrities from a standpoint of their loss, we think of their millions, we think of their material, we think of their fame and their status. But some of them are in the fight for their life, for their mind. They are literally fighting for mental health. And so that is what that moment meant to me. I don't know why my friend sent it to me. I don't know what she thought I was going to take from it, but that is what I took from it. Do not empty yourself out for a world that will reject you. Listen, they crucified Christ. You think they not going to do this? So that's all I'm going to say about that.
I just want to touch on, like, Tiffany, when she was quoting the stats about just regular everyday people. And I want to just kind of give another food for thought for people to really try to think about what the life of these people are, right? How many, most of us, if we don't get enough sleep and got to be at work at 9 a.m. and get off at 5, we got an attitude all day.
Yep.
If If our boss asked us for something before we had a cup of coffee, we mad. We got an attitude. If and that's your regular day. Now think about these celebrity lives where most of them they gotta be up at 3, 4 in the morning because they gotta get to somewhere for an interview that starts at 7. But before that, they gotta go through hair and makeup and this and that and all of this stuff to get there. And then they're hopping from interview to interview to interview to interview, and then they leave there, and then they gotta go this. And some of them got kids, so now you gotta make sure the nanny got the kid and get home. And then you did this in one city, and then you leave there and hop on a plane or a bus or whatever and go to the next city. You get to go home at the end of your 9 to 5 job. You go home. Most of them don't go home for days.
Mm-hmm.
They're gone, and their morning, their days are normally 10, 12, 14, sometimes 15-hour days of work and nonstop, with people in your face, somebody pulling you, pushing you, propping you, pinning, like it's nonstop. Mm-hmm. I had a small inkling, like experience of this last week. I was in 3 countries in 4 days. And I traveled by land, by boat, and by plane. And when I tell you, I was done. I was the jet lag, the time difference, trying to figure that out, trying to like being back on land, but still feeling like I'm on the ocean and stuff. That's a short window of trying to just recalibrate. Mm-hmm. These people do this all the time, nonstop, and then still get on TV and smile, and still get on social media and smile, and then still stop and take a picture with 60 fans. Think about that. Think about what your day is like, and then what they go through in 24 hours.
Right.
And so many of you will be like, well, they get paid to do it. I don't know how much money sleep costs. But if somebody could show me where I could go buy some sleep, let me know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter how much money you make. There are certain things that money you can't buy. Money, you can't buy sleep. You can't buy extra hours in a day. It don't matter. So think about that when you're considering, oh, well, they have this much money, and oh, well, they get to travel the world. They get to travel the world and stuff, but all of that is time away from their family.
Right.
That's time away from their loved ones. That's time away from the home. These big houses that y'all love to talk about, they're not in them.
Right.
They're in a tour bus or on a plane or in a car. Like, just really take note of what you're judging. If you're going to judge it, make sure you're looking. You're not judging the glitz and the glamour. Don't judge the pretty part. Judge everything that came before the pretty was presented to you.
Right.
Ooh, Now, how am I going to close out the segment on don't judge what came before pretty was presented to you? Girl, you ain't got nothing else to say the rest of the night, because that's the whole word. Wow. Because we were talking about Michael Jackson a couple of months ago. I went down this whole Michael Jackson rabbit hole, watching documentaries and movies and stuff like that. And one of we know he was on the propofol because he couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep. Like us, when we get depression and anxiety, it shows up in this wide gamut. You're either wired and you're up for days at a time because your body is tired, but you cannot get your mind to power down so that you can go to sleep, right? Mm-hmm. So then what do? People take an Ambien. They take a little, back in the days, they'd be like, take this Robitussin, because, take this.
Knock you out.
I ain't going to say no names, but I know somebody who used to babysit a lot of kids back in the days. And when it was time for her to go to bed, she made sure all the kids got some diamonds. Like, you take something, but when it is this cycle and this intense level of demand, an ambient doesn't work anymore. You need something stronger. And then eventually your body levels out on that. So then you need something stronger, and your body levels out on it, and you need something to the point now that you have a private physician in your home providing you with deadly narcotics so that you can nap. Mm-hmm. And so that I want to lead to take us into our next subtopic, which is it's lonely at the top. Now we're sitting in these ivory towers. We've made it to this level of fame, and it is lonely there. First of all, imagine being lonely in a room full of people. As a normal person, as the regular woman, the girl next door that I am, and the communities that I have, there are times in my life where, though I have all these people who are like, call me if you ever need anything, I'm here if you need me, this, that, next, and another. It is very difficult for me to feel vulnerable enough and secure enough to reach out and call. And whether that's me calling my mother, one of my siblings, one of the diamonds, a best friend, a sister, whoever it is, I have all of these people extend that olive branch out. It is very difficult for me to say, okay, I can go to them. Sometimes I don't feel like I can go to them because I don't want my burden and my woes to be added to the plate that they're already carrying, and it's overflowing, right? Sometimes it's like, I don't want to be the topic of the conversation when I'm not around because I done divulged all of my personal business to people. And like, there are all these different levels that me, Tiffany, as a regular person has, where I have all of these people around me, but I still feel lonely. Now amplified. You have managers, you have agents, you have executives from the different companies and all this other stuff. All of these people in the room, publicists, all these people, and you are the loneliest person in the room. Because who is there genuinely for me now is the first thought in my mind that comes to mind. Because there are definitely people there who we know they're just there to be on the coattail and catch the tailwind of the success. Whether to use it as a launching pad into their own thing or just to mooch off of. A lot of times you look around the room and you're like, ain't nobody really here for me. They're here for what it is I can do for them, but they're not really here for me. Yeah. So when this is what you're facing, you're in this, there's this thing going around. Excuse me, I'm gonna go off left foot, but I'm gonna bring it back around. There's this thing going around where the lady cooked the crabs in the air fryer, but she used a glass air fryer. And they're talking about the sounds that it made as the internal organs of the crabs, as the crabs died, right? And everybody's in an uproar about how dare this lady cook her crabs in the glass air fryer and then share that this is what's happening to the crabs. And yet and still, that's exactly what we do to celebrities. We put them in these glass air fryers, these glass pressure cookers, and then watch them crumble before our eyes. But instead of saying, how dare somebody do that to them, we're like, how dare they do that? How dare they crash out on us? How dare they cancel the show because they're exhausted? How dare they not? Y'all got more outrage over this lady and her crabs than y'all do a human being. So, yeah, it's lonely at the top.
Ooh, Tiff, that was good. And here's the crazy part. All them people that was in there all them people that was watching, criticizing this lady for putting her crabs in this air fryer because it was glass, went home and bought some crabs and tried to test the theory to see if they could really cook crabs in the air fryer. And just because their air fryer wasn't made of glass, they thought they made it better. So just because you couldn't see, just because you didn't see the crab dying doesn't mean the crab didn't still die. It doesn't make what you did any better. And that was good. Because that's the celebrities. Like, we talk all this stuff and we pick and we pick and we pick and we go all about this stuff and we do all of this stuff. But at no point are you stopping. You're not saying, you know what, this ain't right. We shouldn't do this. You're right there. You're right there adding. You're right there pushing that agenda forward. And we don't, like you said, they see these people with all of this entourage and all of these people around them, and they're like, oh look, they got. How many celebrity stories have you heard about family members leaking stories for a payout, about family members wanting to sue because they couldn't get this, or and the people that the same people that y'all think are these people's support systems are the same ones y'all see them in the news all the time, and then y'all be like, oh my gosh, that's her dad. How could her dad do that? What you're doing is no better. What you're doing is no better. It's even worse because you don't know them. So how dare you have a say so? And these people are giving of their life and their time and their space and all of these things. And for most of them, they can't have a breakdown amongst the people that you should be able to have the breakdown to, because you are their meal ticket. You are how they eat. So if I have a breakdown now, nobody gets paid. That's a whole nother level of mental pressure and anxiety, because you have all these people around you that you can't turn to, but all these people around you that you have to consider before you make a decision for yourself. Because if you don't do this, these people don't get paid. These people don't do this, which could ultimately, depending on who the person is, put you in jeopardy, because now you have contracts. So if I don't do this, I'm in breach of my contract. So now I can be sued. Mm-hmm. So literally the statement of I can't afford to be sick, or I can't afford not to show up, is true. They can't afford it, whether they break down or not. The people don't care. That contract, these lawyers don't care about your mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. They don't care. You owe us 2 albums. You owe us 6 shows. You owe us 2 movies. And if you don't give it to us for whatever the reason, you have to pay us. You owe us this much money because you didn't do that. Or we now own the rights to everything you do for the next X amount of years until we get what we were supposed to get from what you did not produce for us.
Yeah. It's lonely at the top.
Lonely. And then you have the audacity to want to judge them and want to pick at them for having human moments. Divorce, child custody.
Don't get me started on these mongrels who are on the internet talking about people's children. Because I could have sworn somebody's raggedy something was talking about Blue Ivy back in the days, and now they just saying, here, go Niecy, go Niecy. Y'all was calling that baby ugly.
Y'all was talking about her hair not being combed.
And now y'all want to sit here and talk about they want to talk about the other little pumpkin and whose spectrum she may or may not been on. Go worry about your own child. Okay. Don't worry about whether or not Rumi or Sir are on the spectrum. Go worry about your own child. Go worry about your own niece. Go worry about your own nephew. Because me personally, I just shared it. Because when it comes to my children, don't make it about my children. They should absolutely be off limits, because that's another level of crazy I'd have to go on somebody.
But I guess I'm curious I'm compelled rather to pose the question, if they are, so
what can you do about it?
No, but I'm literally like, so we all have at least one autistic family member. We all know somebody in our, so I guess I'm just,
somebody had the audacity to say, yes, audacity. Like, somebody had the audacity to comment on that and was like, if they are, why is she hiding it? She needs to come out as a spokesperson. She does not owe you to put her child through that. She don't owe you that. And who says why does she have to be the spokesperson? Why are you not out here advocating since you feel so strongly and opinionated about children on the spectrum? Instead of worrying about it, putting all your energy into whether or not her child is or isn't, why aren't you out here advocating? Why aren't you out here starting some sort of a community project? Why are you not here doing something since that's so much of a passion for you that you care so much about whether or not she wants to advocate? What are you doing about it? Because I promise you, you walked out your door, you're gonna pass at least 4 to 5 kids in your own neighborhood that's on the spectrum. What you doing to help them?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or better yet, there are celebrities who have used their platforms to advocate for this. You got Holly Robinson Pete, you have Tony Braxton. Are you out there championing them?
Right.
No. You just want to run your pie hole and try and get the clickbaits and everything like that. But at the end of the day, neurodivergency is actually the norm now. To say that, this is different. No, it's not. It's not. It's more commonplace than people think. And because it is a spectrum, it shows up in different ways. But we're getting off a topic there. But I just wanted to use that as an example of people having that putting that level of pressure, like, go out there and do this now. And jump for us, puppet, jump. That's what we've done. But we've called out the problem long enough, right? We've pointed out what the problem is, how it builds up, what happens as it's percolating. And now we got to address the cure, because there's always a cure, or there's always some type of remedy to it. And the first thing is the Queen Pen's favorite word, accountability, right? Community accountability. That means us. That before we go and open our mouths, before we click open our phones and hop on our social medias and our digital soapboxes to say something about this person of stature who we could not, who we will never, let's turn it inward towards ourselves and what it is that we're doing to contribute to the problem, right?
Yeah.
The whole build them up. We build them up to break them down, and build them back up again to break them down. Like we love to torture each other, not just celebrities. We love to torture each other. This is something that we do so well that most times we don't even realize we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to want to pass judgment on someone or a situation that you have never even come close to sitting in. But we are so quick to want to talk about somebody else's situation when your own situation be in shambles. And it's really sad because you look at so many celebrities who sadly did not have the public breakdown, but suffered in silence and then took their own lives.
Yep.
And we still have things to say. So people finally snap and get it out, because the alternative is the other way. We have something to say. And then for those that have gone the other route of things happen, we have something to say. Well, why didn't they speak up? Why didn't they seek help? Why didn't they? Why didn't you shut your mouth? Why? Why didn't you shut your mouth? Why didn't you stop for a minute and think about someone other than yourselves?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do what we all learned when we were like 4 years old in Bible study and vacation Bible school? Do unto others as you would want someone to do unto you. So why didn't you think about how what you were doing to them would make you feel if somebody did it to you?
Yep.
All of that.
Thinking is free. Thinking is free. Take a minute and think before you do something. Think before you say something. It doesn't cost you anything, but it can prevent a lot.
One thing I wanted to kind of offer our gems and gents, whether they're live now or watching the replay later, is really the fundamentals of like mental health, because I think we live in a time where everything becomes a trend And so if anyone has a little bit of knowledge on it, they can call themselves an influencer or an expert or offer a master class for $1,000 to offer y'all information that's Google provided. But I think it's important that we note the difference between real mental health and inconvenience, right? Because some people are just inconvenienced and they call it mental health, or some people are just emotionally immature and they call it mental health, or they are, just unintelligent and they call it mental health, right? You would think Trump has a mental health issue because he's like a severe racist and he's extremely unintelligent, but he really is just those things. I don't see signs of mental health issues, right? So I really want to help somebody what true mental health looks like. I know growing up, we thought that if you had mental health issues, you were schizophrenic or bipolar, but there are so many others that we need to not just pay attention to when we are looking at celebrities and people that we idolize or people that we respect or revere or appreciate in their craft, but even in how we recognize it in one another, how we recognize it in our children, paying attention to the signs. If there's, if they're withdrawn, if their sleeping patterns have changed, their eating patterns have changed. Those are all telltale signs that something may be off mentally. Stress has become an expectation in grind culture, your ability to handle stress. That is the dumbest basic qualification on a job application I've ever seen. We should never be able to handle stress. That is not something you should be able to manage. That is not a quality. That is literally a symptom of a bigger issue. And so anyway, I just wanted to take a minute to share with you all because I think it's important that you recognize what mental health looks like, right? Anxiety disorder, that is a mental health concern. Clinical depression, right? So there's depression, that's not considered clinical depression, but I still consider it a mental health issue is when you recognize depression in someone. Attention deficit, we already know that. Everybody's familiar with that one. We all are familiar with, schizophrenia. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Obsessive compulsive disorder. That is a mental health. Post-traumatic stress disorder. That's the one that I really wanted to park on for a minute. I have a coworker who was diagnosed with PTSD following COVID, and other coworkers made fun of her because they was like, how do you have PTSD behind COVID? Well, let's break that down, shall we? What the hell was COVID? Well, we were isolated from people, from family, from friends, from public. We couldn't go out in public spaces. It is natural for us to desire air and sunshine and all those things, right? Then she hadn't seen her family. Her mom died and she couldn't go to the funeral because you weren't allowed to have funerals during COVID. And then when she finally does get to travel and go, to these places, she learns that her mother's home was taken away. All of these different things happened during COVID. So it was extremely traumatic and stress inducing for her, right? And when she was diagnosed with PTSD, people had judgments for her. Well, you weren't in the military, or you weren't in. That is not the only time that those things develop. And so, like Tiff said, yes, community accountability for celebrities, but I feel compelled to tell us to do better in having community accountability for one another. If you don't understand why a person is depressed, it is not your job to do a root cause analysis. It is your job to simply support them. See what their needs are, see what they need. They maybe need space. Maybe they need peace. Maybe they need prayer. They might need something other than your opinion and your judgment. And so I literally was sitting here quietly because, I was just thinking about the fact that I love that we are speaking about the celebrities, but I just know regular everyday people who don't get any support in dealing with their mental health. I know it's like, again, a trend and everybody wants to be a mental health practitioner and everybody's going to school to get their therapy license and life coach, certifications. And that is great. But if we are not going to support those right in our own community, some in your own homes, and recognizing that they might be dealing with a mental health disorder. My baby girl was told by her teachers that the statewide test would determine her future, that the Georgia state exams that she had to take in order to be promoted from 3rd grade to 4th grade were critical in determining if she would be a successful person. My poor baby has so much stress and anxiety on her to pass these exams. I had to go up to the school and show them what physical stress would do to them if y'all don't lay off my child mentally. Like, she couldn't sleep. She wasn't hungry. All she wanted to do was study and read and keep like testing herself. And she's 8. Mental stress is showing up in everything. And so I shared all that to say, let's do better at creating community for those around us who may be struggling with a mental illness. And again, it doesn't have to be necessarily diagnosed by a professional. You can pay attention to the changes and the shifts in the way they speak, in the way they act, in the way they engage. I know grown people who it's a fight to get out of the bed and shower. That's depression. Somebody who's negative all the time, can't see the positivity or the light in anything. That is a form of depression. And so let's do better at literally paying attention to people outside of ourselves and recognizing when we see a shift happening in their behavior, or we see them withdrawing, or we see them pulling back, because those are all ways that we can get involved in supporting people through their mental health crisis. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to go back to being quiet.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You do not. You do not have to be. And I don't know about in Georgia, but in New York, yeah, we can opt the kids out of the test.
Oh, well, honey, I wish. Girl, that school got a nice, good threat out of me. They sent a letter today. Amaya will be promoted to 4th grade. I know she will. I know. I bet. I pretty damn sure that was gonna happen. Because what? Y'all not putting that pressure on my baby. My baby couldn't even eat. She was in here just panicking. No. Yeah. No.
It's not. And by telling her at 7, 8 years old that this determines your whole future. She's 8. Nothing that minimal determines her whole future. But that's the topic for another conversation. Yeah. We have reached and crossed over the top of the hour. We are now like 10 minutes past the hour. And we did ask the people to give us some grace since we had Lavi on earlier. So we can begin to wrap up the show and move into our final thoughts on the topic. This conversation was very juicy, and the comments were too, in sharing some of the in respect to the community sharing in and following along with us. And so we're sorry that we didn't get a chance to read your comments in the space, but I have been in the Facebook and in the YouTube space trying to respond to and engage with the community. This is our new commitment to make sure that we are continuing to honor and respect the time that the gens and gents spend with us. So Mel, if you want to take us out with our final thoughts, here's a gem.
Sure thing. Dang, I lost it. I was literally thinking about it this last minute, and now I forgot what I was about to. Oh, I remember. My gem for today kind of piggybacks on what Natima was just saying, in that just like life, there is no standard blueprint that's uniform for everyone. Please know that for many mental health issues, especially depression, there is no one way that it looks. There is not one thing that will stand out that will tell you this person is suffering from depression. And I picked depression because that is something that goes so unnoticed. It doesn't have a telltale sign, unlike schizophrenia and some other things that have telltale signs. It doesn't always have one. Someone can seemingly be functioning completely normal, going about their daily life, smiling, laughing, seemingly having a great time, but suffering inside. So I implore you to take away these smoke-filled goggles that you have that tell you that in order for someone to be deemed with a mental health or depression issue, they have to act, look, or behave a certain way. And start to simply ask people the question, how are you handling today? And wait for their answer. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've shared a few stories on my social medias And in the books about I'm not going to say my battle, but me living with my depression, my anxiety. And of recently, I shared a video in which there are several pictures of me laughing, smile. I'm doing the things, right? And I ended the video by saying, this is what masking looks like. This is what masking looks like. And it was dropped in the chat when we were discussing it. Robin Williams is a clear example of what masking looks like. You say on, he is on. He was laughing. He was smiling. He had the jokes. He was engaging. You wanted to be around Robin.
Yeah.
Apparently until he was home. And then nobody wanted to be around Robin. So when somebody is masking their depression, masking their anxiety, masking whatever mental health crisis that they're in, they look like you and me. As I shared earlier, 84% of U.S. workers experience at least one mental health challenge a year. Not once in their lifetime, a year.
A year.
So you just never know when someone is in the middle or in part, somewhere of that crisis. So most people wearing masks to make it through the day. And only once they're home do they feel comfortable enough to maybe take it off. Do something to make yourself a safe space or a home for somebody. You just never, you might save a life.
That part. That's good. That part. There's a quote from Vikram Patel. I'm not sure if anybody knows who he is, but he says that mental health is too important to be left to the professionals alone, and mental health is everyone's business. And I completely agree with that. I stand 10 tones down on that statement, that it is something we all should participate in, not just advocate for. Don't just wear green and be cute, but actually be concerned about how you're making other people feel. And if you're paying attention when you notice that they are not themselves. Tiffany calls it masking. I call it smiling depression. I had mastered it for almost a decade, being able to smile in front of people and then cry and battle suicidal thoughts behind closed doors. So it is definitely real. And it's important to us here on the Hustle and Shine podcast. So I meant to add a number to our banners that if you are dealing with a mental health crisis or mental health issues, or you are concerned about someone who may be dealing with mental health or battling in their mental health, there is help. There are resources, there are hotlines, there are organizations that truly serve in this space. They are not just doing it for clout or for show or because a celebrity is endorsing it. They truly do care about the mental health and wellness of Americans. And so, again, I totally forgot to add the banner to our show. We will drop it in the comments. I will come back and drop it in the comments in the replay. But seriously, if you are listening and you're like, you know what, I have been suffering in silence for so long because no one seems to be concerned. The Queen Pen, the Phoenix, and MV Pen are concerned. We care about your mental health. We care about how you feel about you and about your life. And although we can't, help from where we are, we hope that you will seek help closer to you in your community, in your neighborhood, in your city. And then, of course, you can always, reach out and we will get you where you need to go. All right. And I'm not the type of person that's going to tell you to pray about it. You can, but there are also people that God has graced for this work. And so pray about it while you're dialing. Pray about it while you're calling someone for real help. Okay. All right. That's all I have for tonight. Anything else, ladies, before we let the people go?
Nah, this is the efficiency of the team because the banners, the text messages, the website have been dropped as you were speaking, because that's how important this is to us. So with that all being said, May is still Mental Health Awareness Month. The diamonds will still continue to go green for the remainder of the month. Stay tuned. We have 2 more amazing episodes coming up on mental health awareness next week. Tick, 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 boom. Tune in to find out what it is we're talking about.
Absolutely. Look forward to that. This Sunday will be premiering Behind the Pages. The Phoenix will be interviewing yours truly. I would absolutely love your support and your attendance live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the same platform. You can join us for what I think will be an amazing conversation. And then, of course, we now have our tickets available for Pressure Weekend. Y'all don't want to miss Pressure Weekend here in the A. We are taking over this city once more for Pressure Weekend. 2 events for you all. Our awards gala, we'll be having that on Saturday night, Diamonds en Blanc. We will be dressed and draped in white. Yes, that's right after Labor Day. We ain't scared. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll be celebrating the magnitude and the impact of Audacity in our Bamboos and Box Braids 90s tribute book signing. So make sure that you jump on TGI.com or transparentgymink.com, diamondwriters.com. Get your tickets to this event. Go tell a friend to tell a gym to be in the building. It is going to be some amazing surprises at both of these events. And y'all don't want to miss it because we ain't going to be posting about it. It's either you were there or you miss it. Okay. That's what it's going to be.
By the time you see it, it's going to be over.
It's going to be over.
No live streams.
Exactly. We will not. So do we have anything else? Did I forget any other housekeeping? Any updates?
Yeah. If you haven't got your copy of Audacity, what are you doing?
Yeah. Go get that.
What are you doing?
What
are you doing? Are you having a mental breakdown?
Exactly.
If you haven't gone and got your copy of the book. Because if you are, reach out to us. We can help you. We'll talk you through that. And then we're going to
get you together. We'll get you together.
But visit Amazon,
TGI,
transparentgymink.com, diamondwriters.com, or your local diamond. We are in the Northeast and the Southeast.
Yes. Yes, we are.
And get your book.
Absolutely. And tomorrow, if you are in the Atlanta area, I will be at Collaboration Over Competition. It's a really dope event for business owners and those that are aspiring to be business owners. So y'all want to come check that out as well. You can find information on that online. I do have it posted in my stories, Collaboration Over Competition. Very excited to be there tomorrow. So that's all we have. That's all we got. Thank y'all for staying over with us. Thank you for coming back to this positive news network, as we call it, because this is all we ever going to be distributing is positive news. We don't have nothing low vibrational over here.
He said we're not CNN, we're PNN.
PNN, that's who we are. Okay, we are Positive News Network over here. So again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope to see you next week, same time, same platform. And until then, y'all know what to do. Y'all continue to hustle and shine. Good night.
Hey, let's go.
Let's go.